Hey, I am back with a bit of compliance first. So, I do follow some other YouTubers, and there's this one YouTuber that has a channel, Yachts, who tells you stories about what's happening with mega yachts. And that includes some of these mega yachts that have been arrested, super yachts that have been arrested through sanctions, whether they be EU sanctions, US sanctions, or otherwise, many of them involving Russian oligarchs. Now, my channel is not a political channel, but in one of the recent posts, and I'll link that video in the description to this one of the arrested vessels was auctioned off recently. I believe it was in Antigua. Now, the proceeds of those sales do go somewhere, and in some instances, some of the arrested yachts are being sold at auction to help fund Ukraine in the war. Again, not a political channel. But what I've been noticing is that there have been shifts globally because of sanctions. And whether they're viewed as heavy handed or not, if you're a country that has disproportionate sanctions applied to it, you tend to have a bit of inelasticity for a bit in terms of the impact, but then new mechanisms come up to address alternatives to sanctions. So, not even sanctions evasion and mega yachts aside, think about financial flows. They can't trade as they might normally be able to trade. They might have to seek licenses in different jurisdictions to send monies across the world for their business ventures. They might have to sell their business ventures in other parts of the world. But what's now happening is that the BRICS countries are joining up to form their own trading bloc that does not include the US dollar. And there's talk about them using a bridging currency. And so that bridging currency is going to be a digital asset. I have my dibs on which one or which ones. But that aside, that development alone is going to take a few months to years to kick off. And when it does, I think it's going to change the entire discussion and landscape as it relates to sanctions. Where the dust will settle, I don't know. But in terms of your sanctions compliance, if you're looking at those stories with the BRICS countries, the short story is nothing changes. You still have to put compliance first and make sure that you have measures in place to detect sanctioned subjects and know exactly what you need to do if one of your clients pops up as a sanctioned subject in a revision to a sanctions order. So lots to think about as we live in a changing world. Yeah, I'm not touching the US presidential race at all, but there's a lot going on in the world, and that will have its own knock on effects. I'll stop it there, and I'll definitely be back with more content tomorrow.